You are lying to yourself right now. And the worst part, you can't tell. If you've ever wondered whether you have a problem with alcohol, consider that question for a second. Because in my 40 years as an emergency physician and my 28 years of sobriety, I've learned something that most people never want to hear. The moment you start wondering if you have a problem, the safe bet is that you do. I'm Dr. Donald Crow, and today I want to talk about the single biggest barrier standing between you and real change. It's not willpower, it's not knowledge, it's not even alcohol itself. It's your ability to honestly grade your own paper. Here's what I mean. Every one of us is dissatisfied with something in our lives. That's not unique to people who drink too much. That's just being human. But for those of us who lean on a substance to get through the day, that dissatisfaction has a strange habit of orbiting the same question over and over. Is this actually a problem? And here's the trap. The very condition that makes you ask the question is characterized by your inability to answer it honestly. I spent decades as a doctor telling patients that their medical emergencies, the seizures, the falls, the liver failure, and many others, could be improved, maybe even eliminated, if they simply removed alcohol from their lives. I said this with total conviction. Meanwhile, I was doing the exact same thing I was warning them against. I just managed to dodge my own emergencies up to that point. I could see other people lying to themselves with total clarity. I had zero capacity to see it in myself. And I don't think that's a personal failing unique to me. I think that is close to universal. We are, all of us, remarkably talented at spotting self-deception in other people, and remarkably blind when we see it in the mirror. For me, it took fate stepping in. I didn't choose sobriety. It was forced on me through a treatment center and a several-month divorce from alcohol that I didn't willingly sign up for. It was only during that forced separation that the fog started to lift enough for me to see the rationalizations that I'd been depending upon. I deserve this. I'm not hurting anyone. I still have a job. I showed up to my kid's soccer game. Never mind that I spent the whole game trying not to throw up. None of that felt like lying at the time. It felt like the truth. That's the part people don't understand about self-deception. It doesn't feel like deception from the inside. It feels like an honest account of your life, which is exactly why you can't think your way out of it. You can't out-analyze a broken measuring stick. If the tool you're using to assess the situation is the thing that's compromised, more thinking just gives you a more convincing wrong answer. So, if you can't trust your own read on the situation, what do? This is where most people ask the wrong question. On day one of sobriety, almost everyone I've ever talked to, myself included, starts asking, have I made the right decision? Do I really need to stop? It is precisely here that honest self-appraisal can begin to crumble. With just one day of sobriety, an individual is suddenly armed with the fallacious notion that they can stop whenever they desire. Of course, this is technically true. I stopped on 1,000 nights when I passed out. The fact is that there is a significant difference between stopping and not starting again. Stopping is merely an event. Not starting again is an ongoing process, and one that I certainly had no experience in understanding, let alone deploying in my life. Other factors erode an honest self-appraisal in early recovery as well. The speed with which the power of the consequences that motivated change begins to fade still surprises me as I look back on my own life and the lives of others I see earnestly trying to change. That first morning without a hangover can be powerful, and the self-satisfaction of making a promise not to drink and actually fulfilling it can be surprisingly intense. Enough to support a lie, we may tell ourselves that we've got this and that there is no need for any serious personal upheaval, and this demands that care must be taken not to celebrate this job well done in our usual fashion by reaching for the illusion of a chemical enhancement that we have come to associate with that evening cocktail. Perhaps the greatest failure in our self-assessment lies in forgetting that our brain has evolved to become a prediction machine, one whose accuracy is pitifully poor. In the early days of sobriety, we often confidently tell ourselves a terrifying story. We predict that our life without alcohol will inevitably be devoid of any excitement or joy. We fear that we will become dull, isolated hermits whose sole focus is to struggle through another day, resisting the urge to join the party. The fact is, we have no frame of reference to imagine otherwise at the beginning of our sobriety. Most of us drank or drugged through almost every circumstance in our early lives and have naturally come to associate the buzz of a drink with relaxation, a sense of significance, and conviviality with our circle of friends. Until we build a new frame of reference, we can expect to encounter these sabotaging thoughts. I can offer no advice beyond persistence. I believe you must stay sober long enough to experience moments of joy, peace, and true connection. This will at first balance those negative thoughts, and finally, as these accumulate, tip the scales in favor of a new reality. The only way that I was able to become a believer that a sober life was a better life was to string together enough days, weeks, months, and yes, years, to gather evidence that this was true. Only then was I able to see that alcohol that I used for so many decades was merely associated with those happy times of youth and not their actual cause, as I had come to believe. My message here is that honest self-appraisal is the result of an ongoing process. But when I was drinking, and so long as I drank, it was completely beyond my reach. So I have to leave you with a stark warning. If somewhere in the back of your mind lies the thought that alcohol has become a problem for you, I must warn you that your ability to determine the validity of this idea must be called into question. And I say this based on a 40-year medical career with hundreds of thousands of patient encounters and tens of thousands of those encounters with people grappling with this exact same question. I tell you this based on my 28 years of sobriety and the self-appraisal upon which this still depends. I won't claim that I've gotten great at grading my own paper, but I've certainly improved in my capacity to be skeptical of what I think I know about myself and everything else. I've also learned that asking for help from others and having them honestly tell me what they see when they look at me has been integral to any success. It is at the same time both tragic and ironic that for those of us who have discovered that the lives we wish for ourselves are incompatible with ongoing intoxicant use, share a common feature, a profoundly flawed ability to accurately assess ourselves. Whether you call it addiction, alcoholism, chemical dependency, alcohol use disorder, or my preferred term, chemically mediated disinhibition syndrome, this inability is a core feature. It is felt as a symptom of this condition when a person suspects that they are lying to themselves and begins to explore that more deeply. It is seen as a sign of this condition when these lies manifest in ways that others can witness. Like one of my patients claiming they had just 2 beers before an auto accident, but being found to have an alcohol level twice the legal limit. The fact is that my experience supports one fundamental idea. If an individual ponders whether alcohol is becoming a problem in their lives, the safe bet is that it is. If you fall into this category and are willing to do something about it, the truth is that staying sober cannot proceed without getting sober. And getting sober involves enough time without intoxication for the physiologic dust to settle and the fog to begin to thin. To help you in this initial phase of building a new life, I've created a 90-day sobriety survival kit. This will help you navigate those first 3 months and build a solid foundation for a new life to come. It will not get you sober without your help and desire to do so, but it will give you a direction to channel your efforts and build a new understanding of your relationship with alcohol. It provides the necessary structure that will help you get to this important 90-day milestone. I've left a link for information about this in the description below. Please consider joining the growing number of people who have used its tools to get a solid beginning. Also, please subscribe, like, and most importantly, comment below. In this second year of the production of Second Act Recovery, my primary goal is to build a community where we can discuss our experiences, encourage one another, and share our successes, which might inspire someone else. As a YouTube novice, I'm learning myself, but after hundreds of thousands of views and thousands of subscribers, I'm deeply encouraged to keep going and hope you will help me continue to do so. I'm Dr. Donald Crow. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.